Hello folks, my name is Walter McGuinness, and you may not have heard yet about smart meters in British Columbia, but we now have a program that's being implemented by BC Hydro and the government to install so-called smart meters to measure your hydro consumption in this province. Over the past year and a half, there's been numerous demonstrations and public events opposing this type of technology. And we've had footage of several of these events, and we're going to bring some clips to you today to show you that there's been lots of action, and there's going to be a lot more in the future to stop this from happening.
I think it's a huge, giant step backwards if we are trying to keep Wi-Fi out of schools and then going and attaching wireless meters to our homes outside of their bedrooms where they sleep at night. Now, I'm not sure if you are aware of all of the evidence that's pouring through around the international scientific community on this issue. And if you aren't aware, shame on you, because you should be. If you're telling all of us you're going to put wireless meters on our homes, you should know what the science is saying. But what scientists are saying is you're getting a little bit of poison every day, for month after month, year after year, and what does that mean at the end of the line? Well, science is starting to show what it means at the end of the line. And I don't think any of us here are willing to sacrifice our health and well-being so that BC Hydro can make more money. And really, I think the question has been raised, is it really saving energy?
If your home is wired correctly by the Canadian Electrical Code, if you do not have any wireless technology in your house, that's your standard cordless telephones, cellular phones, baby monitors and such. And if you're not in the proximity of a cellular phone transmitter outside, your home is safe. And it falls well below what is deemed to be safe by authorities that really know what they're talking about. That when they're talking about biological effects and negative health effects, these people are talking about what's happening to the biology within people's bodies. The federal government talks about heating your tissue, and I think we probably touched on that. But don't move away, folks. Just keep fighting for your rights. I have measured, by the way, a smart meter in Nelson, BC. I just happened to come across it on my holidays, and the lady up here referred to that measurement. And it does transmit. It was transmitting every 2.5 minutes, and it's microbursts of energy. And those microbursts of energy are extremely high. When I was within 10 feet of the meter outside, it was spiking my meter. When you're saying these measurements on average are 1 minute a day or 2 minutes a day, we're talking about these microbursts of energy that might be only a few milliseconds. Add them all up for the whole day, it's only transmitting for a couple of minutes, but every 2.5 minutes, your body's being smacked with a very powerful form of electromagnetic radiation. That's the truth, and those are the facts. So unless you change that, unless you have different technology what I've measured, that's what we're come to expect. In just general terms, this is a rip-off. The public is being ripped off. You folks are being ripped off. Because we all share the same biology. You know, people that are electrically sensitive, and I see them quite often, and they are suffering. And my heart goes out to them. But they are like the canaries in the coal mine.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
We have to listen to what they are saying. We are at a point in our development, particularly with electricity, as we ramp up our exposures over the last 20 or 30 years with cellular telephones and with all sorts of wireless technology inside the home and such, we are reaching a threshold where we are going to see a catastrophic collapse.
Right.
And this is what we're courting. This fellow here is a medical doctor. I hope you learned some things here tonight.
He's telling us to go live.
My medical doctor is a wonderful guy. I really love him, and he's really great. He's really helped me out, but he doesn't know anything about this topic, and he admits to that. Because we don't have experts that will stand up and defend the public. Now, if you guys really want to be fair, you should have a full public hearing on this. Allow the public to come. Allow experts to speak. Let's bring in the real independent experts that know what they're talking about. Let them speak. And Hydro should not make any decisions whatsoever until you've heard the complete analysis. And I'm urging you to do that.
We're faced here in BC with a government that is not listening to the public, and it's not paying us any attention at all. The Campbell and Clark coalition are going to be putting smart meters in every home and in every apartment. So when you're living in a condo, conceivably you could have a dozen outside your door. They haven't asked if we want to spend this $1 billion, which is their most recent estimate. It started off at $500 or $600 million. It's now up to $1 billion. Who knows what it's going to end up being? There's been no transparency whatsoever. This has not been discussed. It was not approved in the legislature. It has nobody looking to see if it has any cost-benefit analysis. Usually, the BC Utilities Commission gets involved in these things. But last year, under the Clean Energy Act, they snuck in the right to exempt any major project they want to from any oversight, and the smart meter program is one of them. So $1 billion is going to be spent. No one is looking at who's getting that money. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is good for Campbell's buddies, but it's not very good for us.
We take the position that this is the most momentous and horrific change that we could have contemplated in what was to be a green initiative. And it was sold to a lot of the environmental groups as being a green initiative. In actual fact, it saves no energy whatsoever. In fact, quite the reverse. 80% of Ontario Hydro customers, where this is now in place, are finding their bills have suddenly mysteriously gone up. One of the private companies is now refusing to put in something like 170,000, I'm not sure of the exact number, of meters in various households because this system is not working. It's not saving energy, it's making people sick, it's robbing us of privacy. Part of the $45 trillion worldwide smart bubble, as the economists call these things, is to make you have all of your appliances be wireless ready, so that you have a transmitter in your stove, a transmitter in your washer, dryer, etc. Everything, your toaster, they're all talking to each other and the meter. And this is called interoperability. And this is supposed to be green, but it's not green because it's irradiating all of your entire environment, as is the meter. The meters are being able to be detected for many, many meters away with serious levels of radiation. And in addition to this, of course, there are the many, many collector antennas that are now having to pick up the signal in a two-way exchange between your meter and the grid. And so this is all very harmful in terms of human health. It's very stupid in terms of economics. It saves no money. It's smart only for the corporations that are forcing this on people. This is a non-democratic rip-off of our democratic right to choose a safe environment.
Most people will not know when they're being exposed until they get sick. I believe that there's many people suffering from RF exposure and they don't even know it. If you don't have a little RF meter, you don't know why you get heart palpitations sometimes. You don't know why your blood sugar drops sometimes. You don't know why you get a headache in some places.
The reason that smart meters were invented was not to conserve energy. It was so that the utility company knows when you're using your power and they can change the billing to time of day, time of use. And that's what's happened in Ontario, and that's what's happened in other places. And even though we're being told that's not going to happen, I don't know.
Two new documents recently published cast serious doubts on the oft-repeated assertions of our provincial health officer and BC Hydro that there are no health risks associated with the electromagnetic radiation emitted by smart meters. The first of these documents is a letter drafted by the American Academy of Environmental Medicine, an international organization based in Wichita, Kansas. In their letter addressed to the California Public Utilities Commission, dated January the 19th of this year, the board of the Academy called for, and I quote, an immediate moratorium on smart meter installation until these serious public health issues are resolved. Continuing with their installation would be extremely irresponsible, end quote. They also urged the commissioners of the California Public Utilities Commission to provide immediate relief for those requesting it and the restoration of the old analog meters. These are strong words from a group of medical professionals who are dedicated to the research and treatment of environmentally induced illnesses such as electrohypersensitivity. The second document is a report that was submitted to the Board of Supervisors of the County of Santa Cruz in California on January 24th of this year. This document includes a memorandum by the county public health officer entitled Health Risks Associated with Smart Meters. The conclusions of this medical officer's report fly in the face of claims made by Dr. Kendall that there is no evidence to suggest that the radiation from smart meters is harmful. Among a list of damning observations, the report states, and I quote, "Meeting the current FCC guidelines only assures that one should not have heat damage from smart meter exposure. It says nothing about safety from the risks of many chronic diseases that the public is most concerned about, such as cancer, miscarriage, birth defects, semen quality, autoimmune disease, etc. Therefore, when it comes to non-thermal effects of radiofrequency radiation, FCC guidelines are irrelevant and cannot be used for any claim of smart meter safety unless heat damage is involved." End quote. The FCC guidelines referred to in that report, for all intents and purposes, are identical to Health Canada's Safety Code 6, and it behooves me to point out that our provincial health officer and BC Hydro are basing their entire defense of smart meter safety on the guidelines set out in Safety Code 6. So if anyone claims that there are no scientific studies showing harm, they are either lying or, at best, deliberately ignoring the evidence. Consequently, I would like to pose some questions to Dr. Kendall. Firstly, how long are you going to continue sticking your head in the sand in an attempt to ignore the growing, serious, and highly credible body of evidence that clearly indicates that the radiation from smart meters is potentially harmful? Secondly, when are you going to live up to your sworn responsibility as a doctor to act in the best interest of the public that you are supposed to be protecting from harm? And lastly, you finally acknowledge that you, the official guardian of public safety in the province, need to apply the precautionary principle rather than dance to the tune of your ministerial masters? By the way, as I mentioned earlier, both Dr. Perry Kendall and BC Hydro's Vancouver Island spokesperson, Ted Olnick, were invited to attend this conference but have failed to show up. So, contrary to what BC Hydro would have us believe, every opinion poll that I have seen shows that the public are, on average, 80% against this program. But once again, hard on the heels of the ill-conceived and much-hated HST fiasco, we, the people of British Columbia, are being treated with complete disdain by our government and by the government agencies that are supposed to serve and protect us. So, in closing, I want to call on everyone in the province to take action. Protect your old analog meter and write to or call BC Hydro telling them that you do not give them consent to install these dangerous and illegitimate devices on your homes and businesses. BC Hydro has clearly stated publicly that there will be no retribution against people who refuse consent. So you do not need to fear being arbitrarily cut off or pressurized into accepting smart meters. And finally, add your name to the growing list of people on the website at stopsmartmeters.ca in order to send a clear message that you are willing to protect your health, your safety, and the democracy of our province.
The program that you are watching is clips of the demonstrations and meetings in British Columbia over the past year and a half opposing BC Hydro's and the provincial government's smart metering program.
Citizens for Safe Technology Society has launched a human rights action against BC Hydro. This human rights action requests the accommodation of individuals refusing a wireless smart meter for health reasons. The complainants are persons with a variety of health concerns, ranging from cancer to heart problems, from seizures to electrosensitivity. These BC citizens have medical letters from their doctors requesting BC Hydro accommodate their health conditions by allowing an analog meter to remain on their homes. The emissions given off by wireless smart meters have been classified by the World Health Organization International Research on Cancer as a possible human carcinogen. Every person in BC has the right to refuse a wireless smart meter being forced upon them without their consent, as guaranteed by our Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Cindy Vachor of BC Hydro was recently quoted as saying that quality of life depends on electricity. We would argue that quality of life depends, first and foremost, on a free society that respects the democratic rights of each citizen.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'll begin. For more than a year, citizens from across British Columbia, as well as our grassroots organization, the Coalition to Stop Smart Meters, have been sending letters and petitions to Premier Christy Clark and Energy Minister Rich Coleman requesting a halt to the mandated wireless smart meter program. Dr. Kendall, our provincial health officer, has received major studies and reports from credible sources about the dangers of microwave radiation. However, instead of warning the public about wireless smart meters, he continues to declare all is safe. We believe that the recent World Health Organization reclassification of radio frequency radiation by 31 international cancer experts is important, and that all citizens of British Columbia must be given the right to refuse exposure to microwave radiation in their own homes and neighborhoods. DDT, lead, and chloroform are all to be carcinogens. Would we allow the government and BC Hydro to expose our families to these dangerous agents against our consent? Of course not, and this should be seen no differently. On December 22nd, a legal complaint was filed against BC Hydro with the BC Utilities Commission, charging that they have exceeded the scope of the Clean Energy Act when they decided to install wireless smart meters across BC without any independent oversight or without any public input. If any Crown project is worthy of implementation, then allow due process to take place and respect our legal right to make decisions related to health, privacy, and security in our own homes. What we ask is reasonable and lawful. What we describe is democracy, nothing more and nothing less. We know from past experience, action is taken by government only when enough voters collectively speak out. That time is now. Demand a stop to this wasteful spending of $1 billion or more of our hard-earned dollars, the erosion to our civil liberties, and the very real health threat to our families.
42 municipalities, as of, I believe, yesterday, have voted in favor of either a moratorium on or an opt-out from smart meters. And they are the legally elected representatives of the people of British Columbia. So, as many of you will know, in January of this year, we delivered 2 documents to Dr. Kendall. The first was a document by the County of Santa Cruz down in California, and the second was a memorandum by the American Academy of Environmental Medicine, both of which called in very strong terms for a halt to the smart meter program on the grounds of health and safety. At that point, Dr. Kendall decided to ignore the evidence and continue to support BC Hydro's program. So we're here today once again to deliver that message and to emphasize our message by delivering 160 plus scientific studies and articles that highlight the health and safety implications of electromagnetic radiation. This is microwave radiation. Whatever BC Hydro may say, it is microwave radiation, and it is harmful at levels that are significantly less than the levels at which the smart meters operate. Amongst the documents that we'll be delivering, there is categoric evidence of DNA damage, permanent DNA damage, of blood-brain barrier damage, of multiple disorders like genetic defects, infertility, the list goes on. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. And if Dr. Kendall continues to refuse to take this information seriously, The next time we gather here, it will be to deliver 1,000 signatures, 1,000 documents. And the next time after that, it'll be 10,000 documents, because I can guarantee you that there are that many documents that show the harmful effects. And eventually, Dr. Kendall will see the writing on the wall.
We used to have a Senator, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who said, everyone is entitled to his own opinions, but not to his own facts. And I think one of the interesting things is that the facts in the case of electromagnetic radiation are overwhelming. I've been studying the biological effects for over 30 years and have found, among other findings, that these evoke a protective response in cells. If you understood the language of cells, it's unequivocal. When electromagnetic radiation comes in contact with cells, even at very low levels, the cells start to make special protective proteins. This is known as the cellular stress response, and these are known as stress proteins. And that's unequivocal evidence that the cells themselves know that something outside is harmful, because it happens with a variety of toxic and noxious materials. It happens when the temperature goes up. It happens when there's an acidic environment. It happens when there are toxic metals around. This is a response from the cells themselves. And there's no question, it's been found that this kind of radiation evokes the same response in cells, in all cells that have been studied. Let me say that when the evidence is equivocal, there really is no place for opinions and ideas. I think one must protect the cells in the body, because in the long run, the cells will turn to pathology. These effects don't occur immediately, and usually it takes years. And if one is talking about cancers which have been induced with cell phone radiation, which is also electromagnetic radiation of the same frequency, or about the same frequencies, then you see that this takes a long time for the disease to develop, and when you're using it, you don't realize it. It may be a good idea to read a book by a man called Kane, who was a chief engineer for Motorola, and he wrote about his experience in developing brain cancer while testing these instruments. It's a very interesting book. That was the last thing he did. He died shortly after of a brain tumor. The point is, it's been shown time and again that these things are harmful. The cells show that the things are that this electromagnetic radiation is harmful. There's no question that a responsible public health official should invoke the precautionary principle, and certainly in the case of smart meters, should stop the installation of such devices.
And over here, hope I don't lose them all.
Thank you.
Take one. There you go. One each. Perfect. Thanks.
Please just move into this lineup, okay? And let the lineup go down the street.
This one? Yeah, this one. Okay. Back up some more. Hold your thing. Two hands full too. Nice.
I thought I was going to be very great today, and then
I want to acknowledge my protest to the smart meter installation. Thank you.
This is for Mr. Kendall. Okay, thank you. Thank you. You give this to Mr. Kendall. I shall. Tell him I'd like a response, please. My number's on the bottom. Thank you.
I'm counting on somebody listening.
Okay. Thank you. Bye now. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
If you have children and grandchildren, think about their health and their well-being, okay? I know you're just a worker.
That's okay. Thank you.
give her your papers. Thank you very much.
Two more studies of at least 2,000 known that totally contradict Health Canada Safety Code 6. It's time for our government to stand up and be accountable.
I have two studies on behalf of myself and a member of my family, and I just want to say that there is evidence to suppose that there is a direct link between cell phone towers and tumours that are carcinogenic, because there's a huge hospital in the south of England that has just been built and they deal only with this.
I've come from Salt Spring Island. I have multiple chemical sensitivities for 20 years. I am at extremely high risk to develop EHS. I have 6 reports here on behalf of the members of my family and my grandchildren.
Okay, so I'm here because 160 studies, research studies showing that electromagnetic radiation is dangerous to our health, and I don't see why Dr. Kendall refuses to look at these research studies.
Thank you, ma'am.
Run a group called Parents for Choice in Technology. We don't have a choice right now, so I'm here for my kids and everybody else's.
And I've been dealing with Perry Kendall off and on for the last 2 years. And I can tell you, he does have an opinion, and it's a wrong opinion, but he supports it all the way along the line. He goes so far as to saying that the BC occupational safety, when it says that no worker should be exposed to a 2B carcinogen, and that includes Wi-Fi in schools, it includes smart meters in workplaces, he says in his opinion, the IARC decision that radiation is a 2B carcinogen doesn't hold. He doesn't recognize it. He's not an expert. He has no training. It's his opinion, and his opinion is going to kill us. He is being disdainful. He is mocking. He has said that the IARC decision to make radiation a 2B carcinogen is the same as with coffee and pickles. It's not.
So if you want to protect your health and security, if you want to protect the privacy of your own home, if you want to protect democracy in British Columbia, if you want to protect all the values that we hold so dear in this province, help us in this battle to stop smart meters in British Columbia. Come visit our website at stopsmartmeters.ca, sign up and make a donation. Every little bit will help. And thank you very much for watching today.